Hi everybody, Christopher Andros back with you again with another video in our Metropolis of San Francisco Music Ministry series as we explore the rich hymnography of our church. We are in the beginning of July, just having celebrated the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul, followed by the Feast of the Synaxes of the Apostles, and we don't have any major feasts of Christ or the Theotokos until we get to August. So most Sundays in July tend to be pretty straightforward liturgically, and it's often the case in the month of July that we tend not to have a lot of hymnography in addition to our resurrectional celebration on Sundays. This Sunday, however, coincides with the celebration of a prominent saint, Saint Athanasios of Mount Athos. Saint Athanasios brought monasticism to Mount Athos and established the first monastery, the Great Lavra, or Megista Lavra, in the year 963 AD. Saint Athanasios is of high enough rank in the church calendar to where his Apolytikion is chanted even when his feast day, July 5th, falls on a Sunday. We'll return to Saint Athanasios in a little while. In several previous videos, we discussed the idea of a prosomia, or model melodies, whose model is an original melody, or avtomelon. And when we get to a third mode Sunday Orthros, we encounter a number of prosomia rather early in our service. In the general structure of our Sunday Orthros service, following the 6 Psalms and the Great Litany, we begin with God is the Lord, or Theos Kyrios, followed immediately by an Apolytikia of the day, or if on Sunday it's a resurrectional Apolytikia first, and then followed by an Apolytikia of the day, and then a Theotokion, a hymn to the Theotokos in the mode of that Apolytikia. Following a short litany, then, we come to the Kathismata of Orthros. What we call the Kathismata in Sunday Orthros actually refers to a specific set of hymns in the mode of a week that come after a kathisma. So, what's a kathisma? Well, to remind you, the book of Psalms has 150 psalms in the entire book, and it's divided into 20 sections, or 20 kathismata. Kathismata is the plural of kathisma. And the church prescribes that different kathismata are read at different liturgical services each day, such as Vespers, Orthros, the service of the hours, and other places depending on the day of the week and the time of the year. On most Sundays, when the resurrection is celebrated, there are always at least 3 kathismata to be read. The first one is Kathisma number 2, Psalms 9 through 16. Then Kathisma number 3, which is Psalms 17 through 23. And then the hymns we chant on Sunday following the readings of these kathismatas are given to us in the Anastasimataria, which, as we remember, are hymns for Sunday's divine services. After the first reading, there's 3 hymns, and after the second reading, there are 3 hymns. Then the third kathisma, which is supposed to be read on Sunday, is Kathisma 17, which is only Psalm 118, since it's so long. Maybe you've heard of Psalm 118 before. It's also known as the funeral psalm, or the amomos, referring to the opening phrase, "Blessed are the blameless in the way who walk in the law of the Lord." The first word in Greek is amomi. It also has a set of kathismata hymns. On Sundays, those kathismata hymns, I bet you've heard them before, they are the Apolytikia, or "Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes." Now, the practice of the reading of the Psalms at Orthros is preserved today in our monasteries, but what we retain in parish life is just the chanting of the poetic Kathismata, or the sessional hymns, which most of us know simply as the Kathismata. In our parish Orthros service, we chant these Kathismata hymns consecutively. So on a Sunday, such as the one coming up this weekend, we'll chant 2 sets of 3 Kathismata hymns from the mode of the week, then followed by the Apolytikia. The mode of this week is the 3rd mode. So, when we come to the Kathismata hymns, let's see what we notice. Aha! In our first set of Kathismata, our 3rd hymn following the both now is the Theotokion, which is in fact the Aphthomelon tin Oreotita, or Seeing How Beautiful. Now, if we look at our second set, our entire second set of Kathismata hymns for the 3rd mode on a Sunday, they're all prosomia. They all follow the melody tin Oreotita, or Seeing How Beautiful. See, we've mentioned before that prosomia are useful. They really do come up all the time. And if you can figure out how to chant the Aphthomelon, then you get a lot of bang for your buck, since you can chant several other hymns in the service. So let's focus there and look at our music for this Aphthomelon. So this is a 3rd mode, and these hymns are generally fairly short. Though there is also a slow version of the prosomia, which you may have chanted at the end of the Akathist hymn in Lent. The way you chant this Aphthomelon is a little bit faster, though not quite as fast as the hymns of ascent. More or less, it's 1 or 2 notes by syllable. And if you look at the music, 3rd mode is in that enharmonic scale. We expect to use a continuously flat zo, or B flat here. And although not marked on the Western staff, you would also expect to use a lower vu, or E. Now, usually, 3rd mode has cadences on pa, or D, and kye, or A, and once in a while on a ni, or C. But one interesting thing about this particular melody are these the, or G cadences, the cadences that occur on G here. How do we explain that? Well, as some like to say, one rule of Byzantine music is that there's a lot of exceptions. But another explanation is that this is in fact, a very ancient melody. Perhaps one that we've retained before the rules of 3rd mode, as we know them today, became even solidified. In fact, we have manuscripts from the 9th and 10th centuries that reference this particular Aphthomelon. Now, if you look at the structure of the entire hymn, it's essentially A, B, A, C, D. So we have the same phrase repeated 3 times, this particular phrase. That makes it somewhat easy, with the phrase cadencing on pa in the midst of them. Then we have this line that ascends to high ni before descending down the octave to low ni, before this very typical 3rd mode phrase in the final ending on ga. All right, are you ready to try it? We're going to give our apihima, as usual, and begin. No, no, sing how beautiful was your virginity, and how your purity shone forth resplendently. Amazed was Gabriel, who cried to you thus, O Theotokos, What shall I present to you as a worthy encomium? What shall I address you as? At a loss and perplexed am I, and therefore I, as ordered, cried out to you. Rejoice, O maiden full of grace. Okay, great. So your homework now is to practice this so that when we come again to it in 8 weeks, you'll have it memorized and can chant it from a metered text such as with this one. Deal? I haven't forgotten about St. Athanasius of Athos. Let's flip back a few pages and ages to the Apolytikion. And guess what we see? His Apolytikion is, in fact, set to the very same prosomia of Sing the Beauty. So, isn't it interesting that the original melody in the Kathismata, and yet we have an Apolytikion for a saint that is set to it? Based on our evidence for the existence of this original melody from likely St. John of Damascus himself in the 8th century, it would certainly be possible that we could find this hymn as part of the service for a saint whose hymns were composed a few hundred years later. In other words, you see a prosomia, you got this. So, to recap what we learned today. 1. Kathismata hymns are found in the early part of the Orthro service and following the readings from the Psalter, though those readings are skipped in most parishes. 2. Within these Kathismata hymns, and especially this Sunday, we find prosomia. Prosomia are very important and good to learn and memorize, so please do so. 3. Lastly, we see yet again how our musical tradition is quite ancient and how many aspects of it have been preserved. All part of a continuous Orthodox tradition that we've passed down through the generations that we've inherited. Thank you for being with us. A reminder to like our videos and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to send us your feedback, your questions, or ideas for videos. And until next time, have a great day.